Episode 6.
Yes.
Please tell me I got that right this
Yeah,
time.
I know. This time we do that.
That's good news. Today we're gonna quickly try and do a shorter episode, but very focused. And we had a good chat before we decided to actually go here this quickly. But seeing as we are super passionate about growing the economy, today myself and Daniel just really want to chat about money in general, and how do you acquire more money, and how do you do that sustainably, and obviously also gaining a better understanding of money, currency, cash flow, all of those things. I think it's super relevant, obviously coming off the back of all the political discourse that we've had in the first few episodes. I think this flows beautifully into what we're trying to drive here. So Daniel, I think I'll start you off there. And again, I think the focus, just with regards to the people that have requested this and asked us to speak about money specifically, I think we must just make it generation specific again, because there's so much of confusion currently in the younger generation.
No, and I think specifically for so maybe just to give the guest a little bit of a background. So we were invited this week to speak at a young graduate, like a get-together where they graduated on this thing that they were. It's a curriculum that they are part of, but it's either engineers or accountants or so on. So it's quite diverse, but. And I opened it up to a question, a Q&A at the end of, or like 10 minutes in the conversation. But the questions that came out of that Q&A really got me thinking, and obviously that, and the average age there were about 20, I'll say around 22 to around 24. But the one of the ladies that's an accountant, or she's going to finish just now with accounting, BCom accounting, and she asked me what the role of AI will be. And then, because we were speaking about, I specifically made my cash flow comment with me sitting in a boardroom when I was about, let's say, 20, 21. And I didn't have, thought I understand the principle of cash flow, but I realized quickly that I do not, and that's when I, went back and educated myself on that. But I explained that to them, and then she asked me, "Listen, okay, but what role do I think AI will play within her industry that she studies now in?" And to be honest, and our beliefs on that, that really got me thinking, in the sense of, because we are busy with a lot of things. We try to implement AI as far as we can, from our media side through to our health side, and in the businesses we're building. And we understand the pace that AI is running, and the direction AI is going into. And I said to her, I truly believe that AI in the next 10 years will do the works of the accountants, specifically the nitty-gritty stuff. From the accountant. So obviously that got her thinking, and we had a conversation after the talk. But for me, it's a thing, and there was the other question as well. Okay, but now how do I she studied now this.
Yes, how do I prepare for this?
How do I prepare now? Because if AI is gonna, obviously I need to then now go into my niche, and so obviously they're facing way different. And especially the people that are studying now, and they're facing total different issues. Copywriters with the likes of the ChatGPT.
Yes.
You need the creative still, but there's a big part of that copywriters do not use. We don't use copywriters anymore in our businesses, because we obviously run through not now ChatGPT, but other AI models and so on. But for me, it was a thing of, yes, I realized that they do have different challenges with tech coming into the business world, and it coming in rapidly and aggressively.
Yes.
And then she asked me another question of, okay, but how long will it? Because I was talking about fail, and I was talking about, listen, you need to get to your core super quick. You need to find out what that niche thing or that talent that you really are good at. You need to find that like quickly in your life. And specifically, if I can, and I think we said it in previous episodes, but if I can have my last, let's say, 15 years over of business, I've been aggressively in business the last 9 years.
Yes.
But if I can have my last 15 years over, I would actually focus just on my talents and to try to figure out, maybe there's some things I still need to figure out, but to get to that talent super quick and to fail in things quicker to get to that like niche what I can give. But then she asked me, listen, okay, but now how long is that going to take?
But I mean, I just want to pause you there, right? Because this whole thing about actually taking time to figure out what your gifts and your talents are, and with reference to AI, I don't think that there's ever been a time where it is of the utmost importance to actually understand how valuable you as an individual need to become in the marketplace. Because you're now not only competing with your peers, the people around you in your immediate location, you're also competing with the people globally because of the information age and the infrastructure that's been put out there. And now, in addition to that, there's a third layer, which is now AI, which, I mean, we can wax lyrically about all of the challenges that AI will bring with regards to competition. And there's obviously a lot of reputations. But I think the big thing for me is that, at least the way that I feel about it now, is anything that is super theoretical and repeatable and maybe a bit stale as well, how will you ever be able to outperform AI, right? Which now begs the question, if you don't take the time in your younger years, right? Obviously, there's always time later on. I don't want to take that off the table. But if you don't now, in this day and age, take the time in your younger years to really figure out what are your God-given gifts and talents, the things that are ingrained in you that you didn't necessarily do anything for, you received that. So that you can build on that, because ultimately those are the things that you can utilize to outcompete all three of these layers.
Yeah, and the thing is, and what we spoke about, you need to be good today. You really need to be freaking good to perform on the level that the youngsters are performing. We sat with a lady that's 19 years old. She had 5 businesses. I cannot remember if it was 5 or 4. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
But she operates.
Yes. And she's got the guts.
Yes.
To go for it.
She started at 16 already.
Yes.
And the thing is, you really need to be good. And I explained to them. I said to them, if they're going in finance, they're going against us. You get me? If she's going in media, she needs to fight for the same pot that we're going. We're going against the same clients. So the thing is, and that's why I went to the whole thing of them. And specifically for the younger, let's say between 19 and let's say 30, is to figure out that thing that you are good in. Because if you do not get to that thing that you are good in, if you're going to be average in the other stuff, people's not going to pay you, let's say, a lot of money to get to that thing.
Yes.
Or to that great fruit or that great talent that you have that you can sell for.
Yes.
And with the use of AI, I think people are going to get like super beings, because they can utilize the AI models and AI is becoming so diverse now, but to implement that, to like put petrol on the fire and to just multiply the talents that they currently do. But the thing is, but you need to be good.
Agreed.
You need to be really, really, really good. And that's why I want to get to the thing of start figuring out what you are good in.
What you're naturally good in, right? I think that's what you're trying to say. Because here's the thing, that ultimately is that bottomless, I don't want to say bottomless pit, right? Let's say bottomless well that you can actually tap into, right? Because you can always bring that to the table. The thing is, and maybe I'll put this to you, because it's not that people are one-dimensional, right? And this is where it becomes tricky. A lot of people, are actually naturally gifted and have talents in more than one thing. So how do you actually approach that? Because you're talking about multiplication and things like that, and people get confused here.
And if I take my career, I started out as I wanted to say pole popper, but that would be come across different,
yes,
or wrong. I started out
Packing shelves in the warehouse.
Well, pressing the pilly tops.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So they called it the pill popper, but it's a poly top. So my first job was to actually make sure that when the pharmacist comes in every single morning, that she has poly tops to dispense the medicine in.
Yes.
So that was my first job. Okay, I quickly, and in some admin jobs. So the admin side of, let's call it now the pharmacy, but admin's admin. I quickly realized I'm bad at admin. You do not put me in any admin position, it's not going to work. But the moment there was a little bit of a practical flow of the ordering of the medicine,
Yes.
the moment I went into that, and to be honest, I stuffed up a lot of times doing that. But I figured out quickly. So for instance, the admin side, it wasn't me deciding, listen, I'm not good at it. The pharmacist were, she was not happy with me, with the way I did the admin.
Yes.
That's how I realized, yes, but we constantly fighting regarding this admin thing. So flip, I'm not good at admin.
Yes.
And so the thing is, I did it, I realized, not my cup of tea.
Yes.
And that's how I went on, but I did a lot of things. And that's why I said I failed in a lot of things as well. But I did a lot of things, and so I could realize, listen, I'm good at this section of the business. So,
and I want to, and I mean, I'm sorry, but the thing is, you're saying a lot of things, and it's important, I think, that people catch on to this, because what I hear when you say that, and we see that even in our businesses, that people struggle with this, is that it's the willingness to try.
Yeah, it's the willingness to fail.
Well, the willingness to fail, right? That's better put, I agree. And here's the thing, that drives you, that is one approach, right? That drives you in a process of elimination, because you've got a starting point. And you're like, listen, I don't know exactly what it is, but here's my starting point, whatever it is. And I mean, you started with the pills, right? That sounds bad, but anyway.
10 years back, I was a choma. I needed to make sure that there's 300 of those things every single morning. How discouraging is that?
100%. But you started there, and then eliminate, and ultimately, what remains
was the good. Well, I just started to do more of the things that I was good at, and I asked the pharmacist, "Listen, I'm good at this. Give me more responsibility on this."
Yes. Well, and that, can I just say, that's powerful, because I mean, even in my days in corporate, that's rare. People actually having the willingness to step up to their line manager, or if it's a C-suite individual, or whatever the case may be, to actually go and say, listen, I back myself in this. I'm actually really good at this. So give me more of this, and you can obviously measure me on it, but I'm really good at this. So give me more of this work and I'll excel at it.
And I'm going to be dead serious with you. In my case, I needed to, the humble thing needed to come in, and me accepting that the things that I actually didn't like that much were the things that I was good in.
Well,
and I needed to humble myself to say, listen, the things you think you are good in is not the things that I was the greatest in.
Yeah.
But I loved that part, so I wanted to be in that direction, but I needed to humble myself and say, you're not the best in this, although you love it. So keep a part of it.
Yes.
So still do it, because I get maybe some dopamine and all that things out of that section. But this is a section you are good in. And I needed to, and specifically, so in, I think it was 2019. No, I'm lying. 2017. I said to you about my journey, about me having my PA that time. I said to her, listen, get me into the people's room, because I realized that I'm good at selling vision. So I said to her, listen, get me into, and this is something I needed to have. So as a youngster, I needed to be in the room. I needed to be able to not know the most in that rooms. But I realized that the vision part of me, talking to people, selling the vision, I know exactly where we're going. So that part where I sold the vision towards the, the key guys in the position that they were there to make the decisions. But I needed to, there was a lot where I failed in the sense of technical talk, about specific how the money will flow and all of that stuff. I wasn't great at that at the beginning, but the thing is, I sold the vision. So they caught on to that. And that was so strong that it almost like shattered some of my shortfalls on the technical talk. And that was powerful, because it drawn them towards that big thing that I knew I was good at. But I needed to be able to fail in the chat to realize that and to get to this part.
100%. And the thing is, what ultimately happened and happens when you take that journey, because there are more than one journey, right, to actually figure this out. But when you take that journey, is ultimately you start yielding exponential results when you really start implementing the thing that comes naturally to you. And here's the thing: when you are naturally gifted in something, right, or you've got a talent. The thing is, you build on that. It's not that that talent or that gift is mature day one.
Never.
You don't. You get what I'm saying?
You get good at doing it.
Yes, you've got a good predisposition. Your starting point is amazing because you're gifted
natural.
in it. 100%, but now you need to mature in that gifting. And that also takes a period of sacrifice. Before we continue, I just want to tie this into the money side of this, because ultimately I think this is super important. And this is the way that...
It almost feels like it's an interview towards me now.
Yeah, listen, we don't want to get it, but I mean, ultimately, I think people not only be inspired. I mean, you've got a lot to say. It's super valuable. But to tie it into the money thing, here's how me and Daniel think about this, and that's why it immediately went to gifts and talents. And it is because it's about the principle that before you have R1 million in your bank account, you need to be worth R1 million in the marketplace. Before you have 10 million rand in your bank account, you need to be worth 10 million rand in the marketplace. Because what ultimately happens is you're worth that in terms of the value that you actually bring to the marketplace, and then you attract that value in money as the, I don't want to say scoreboard, but as the equalizer in that equation. You get what I'm saying? And the thing is, if you try and do that in something that you're not naturally gifted and talented in,
it's just hard work.
Well, and I'm glad that you immediately went to hard work, right?
It's training.
Because here's the thing: if you implement the right principles, right, and you try and do that through something that doesn't really come naturally to you, you can obtain a real measure of financial wealth. It is possible, because if you work hard at something long enough,
apply the principles, flip it. They cannot go against themselves. So
100%. Ultimately, value will come. The thing is, you'll always be outplayed by the individual who's naturally gifted and talented in that area, who's also working just as hard as you are, because they've got that natural advantage. You get what I'm saying? So, and obviously there's pain involved there, because you're doing something repetitively that you don't really enjoy, doesn't come naturally to you, versus going into your quote unquote fast lane, where it comes naturally to you. Now it's easier to actually become that valuable in the marketplace, and hence attract that monetary value.
The thing is, people sometimes miss that, what you just said now, because now they'll say, okay, but now I'm operating in my talents. I know this is what I'm good at, but now they don't get the results. But the thing is, the hard work's not yet in there.
Yes.
They think they're just relying on talent. And I saw that a lot in the athletics field. So on the athletics track, talents get you far, but you need to work hard to get to that extra mile.
100%.
You get me? And I saw a lot of athletes. I mean, this is just the easiest way to explain it, but I saw a lot of athletes that just relied on their, God-given talents, and they were just naturally good at this. And then you get the average athlete that just work day in, day out, twice a day on the track. Specifically according to their diets. They don't go party. They don't.
Yes.
And then eventually over time, they outperform that natural
100%.
athlete. Because it's just the hard work we're in. So they were average on talent, but the hard work make them, excel over time and just outperform the natural athletes that are great. And if they just, put that, let's say, a quarter of that work in, that would have excelled them way better. And I think Patrick Bet-David explained it the one day, and he compared Michael Jordan and I think it's Shaquille O'Neal. And he says Shaquille but they said Shaquille were way a better athlete like Michael Jordan. He were better than Michael Jordan from a talent side. But the thing is, Shaquille was lazy. He didn't train that hard. Michael Jordan were in the gym 3 o'clock in the morning.
I recall this. I think Shaq didn't speak to Patrick Bet-David for like a couple of years when he heard this.
But the thing is, it was this level, and you need to accept the level you are in. But the thing is, what you said, you need to be you need to talk the talk of you are worth 10 million, or you are worth 100, or wherever you put yourself in.
Yes.
But then you need to back it. because too many people do the talk work, but then their works doesn't back what they do here.
Yes.
So be worth 10 million. Great. Be worth 1 million. Be worth 100,000. But then your works need to back, because you will grow into whatever you believe you are in.
I agree.
Eventually.
I agree. Listen, I mean, ultimately, I think that's probably one of the most important principles, if you can rank them. I think there's a lot of chatter today regarding manifestation, people manifesting things in their lives. And I feel like I don't want to say that it's, well, the thing is, I don't want to say that it's an irritating word, but I think that it's a modern day word to something, that's a principle that from our perspective is something that came with our origin, right? And it's the belief that you speak things into being, that are not as if though they were. Which from our perspective is a biblical principle, but the reality is you do speak those things into being. And here's the thing, when you start aligning these principles, it's almost like they become more powerful. The fact that you first of all taken the time to get to know who and what you have been created to be, right? I.e. your gifts and your talents. You couple that with hard work and discipline. Now you've got a second layer. You couple that with a third layer saying, I'm starting to speak these things into being like it is. You get what I'm saying?
The thing is, the better you'll get, the momentum you get,
100%. Now you start building this momentum.
And better, yes.
Exactly. And here's the reality. You keep on doing that long enough. You pay the price. You sacrifice. You do all of those things long enough. Ultimately, the result within the world that we find ourselves in today has to be an inflow of money. And here's what's beautiful about this whole thing, just in short. Money is and was never the focus. Living with purpose is and was the focus. Money is the result of that, but it's not the focus. And that is super powerful, because how many people have we met where the sole focus is money? And the reality is they're always grasping for money. And I'm saying that humbly, but it's because it almost feels like the target or the goal is wrong. The goal is money versus how much value can I bring to the marketplace? That talks to purpose, gifting and talents, and money is the result. It's not the end goal.
Well, usually you'll get people chasing money because money cannot fulfill you. You can talk to any person in the world that has some money or a lot of money. Money cannot fulfill you. You buy the new thing, it's old 20 seconds after you
Immediately.
bought it. Yeah, because that's the way money works. It's almost the rat race of getting more and more and more. So if money will be the chase, you always long for something, and the journey will be crap.
Yes.
The thing is, the journey will be, you'll most probably get divorced, you'll most probably have, whatever, I don't want to go into that. But the thing is, and that's what we are after, especially because we believe in South Africa, we believe that our country did not get to this core yet. I believe America and the United States as a whole do understand this a little bit more. That's why they're so self-assured. So the thing is, if we can just get this principle over to the country, I really believe people will back themselves more and the journey will be better. The journey becoming successful because it will be fulfilling, because your talents and what you are good at, you'll be proud about what you do because you get rewarded for something you're good at. You don't need to pay a bribe. You don't need to, because you're good at it. People want it, so people will pay for it.
Well, this is the thing. Can I stop you there? Because that's super powerful, what you just said. And I mean, I just want to reiterate it. Here's the reality. The marketplace doesn't want you. They want your gift.
Well, they pay for the gift.
Exactly. And can I tell you why why I stopped there? Because I've seen this, in so many ways. People are so focused about bringing themselves into the picture and not understanding, listen, I need to bring what I have to offer into the picture.
And I think it's human nature to be in a position of control. So the moment you become good at something, you want to control, and now the money factor is also there, because if you're good at something, people will pay a lot of money for it.
Yes.
So then the power factor comes in, and you see it a lot in a lot of famous people that really got to the top really quickly.
Yes.
That the power factor always becomes like a problem. Not in every single case, but usually it's the case because they want to, have power over, all these the things that they've got. That they want power over, especially other people with similar talents or so on. The thing is, my father always put it to me very simple. So he had a couple of things that he taught me, and you obviously know a lot about the things he taught me.
Yes.
The one thing is you need to learn how to make 1 rand, 2 rand. That's such a simple thing, but it's super that he taught me. And
Yes.
but it's not something that it's just a one-liner. That's
Well,
the
I'll tell
failing part.
Well, I just want to tell you, in my entire journey of education, I don't think I was ever taught how to make 1 rand, 2 rand.
Yeah, and QSC.
Yeah, I didn't want to go there, but
I wanted to go there. The thing is, that's how important it is.
Yes, but I'm talking specifically on the theoretical side, on the education side. You learn that in practice, right, when you go out into business. But it's so tough to think about the fact that you're 18 or 21, or let's say if you're going to do an honours degree, for example, 4-year degree, at the end of honours, you have not learned how to make 1 rand, 2 rand.
That's the problem. And
imagine.
So from a practical side, my father always learned little things. He'll just explain to me, listen, people overcomplicate business. They want to make deals super smart. Just make a profit on the deal. Don't do like fancy stuff in here. Put the margin on. Let's make money. Let's make 1 rand, 2 rand.
Yes.
And simple things like that he taught me over time. But the other thing is, you are rewarded monetary how successful you're living in life. And not how successful you're living in the sense of how flashy you are and all of that. It's difficult to translate from Afrikaans to English, but that's the best I got.
You're doing a good job.
But the thing is, it's how successful are you applying your talents and deploying your talents into the world.
Yes.
The money will be the result back to that. And that's listen, and that's frustrating because people that's sitting in a money crisis now think, yeah, but now I need to work for this time. The thing is, it's that thing of a dull act requires much effort. If you go sit and you really plan out, you know, and do the effort to get the naysayers in your family maybe, or start in your close circles to ask people, listen, what am I good at? But you need to be able to ask them as well, what am I bad at? What is my weak points?
Yes.
And that's a good start. I started there, asking my close relatives, what am I good at? What am I bad at? And the thing is, but the where you're bad at or the things you're falling short, that's usually not lack it a year. And the thing is, then you need to do something about it. And that's a great place how to start, because then if you put the effort in to look at something, and obviously everybody's not called for business. So some people need to sit within the corporate system or within an employment system. But I think our hearts is leaned towards the entrepreneurs and towards new business birth in our country. And not to say that this principle applies for everybody.
Yes.
But specifically somebody and if that wants to start a new business. But the same apply for the oak in the corporate. He can still, because he needs to apply his talents in that corporate environment to climb the corporate ladder.
Yes.
The principle applies for everybody. But a great way to start is to obviously look at your close people and then just start asking
people
them
that will give you an honest opinion. Right?
Honest opinion. That's what you're after, is an honest opinion. And then you need to sit with yourself and read through all of that and not say, nah, I'm good at this, nah, I'm good at this. I did it for too long. Yes. And I realized, shit, but I'm not good at this. That's what I explained earlier about, yes, I like this. That's maybe why I think I'm good at it. But I'm not great at this.
I agree.
I'm average.
Well, and again, you mentioned something amazing with regards to you're good at this, but now you need to work at it to become better at it, to become excellent at it. And then ultimately to become world class at it, if that's the intent.
Because it will be like almost like stock. You can get all of them if you know where you're good at or bad at. You can bring all of them a little bit upper. But your fear that you are the proper talent that you are good at will always be at the top. Agreed.
And that's the point, right? So I'll give you an example. Something that has always rang true to me while studying accounting. I was pretty good at math, pretty good at accounting. I mean, so it wasn't like I was an idiot, but I really worked hard to obtain my degree. The one thing that I did do is I surrounded myself with the smartest people in the class for 4 years. That's literally what I did. I just always made sure, and we ultimately became really good friends. And I had this one mate. I'll still have this one mate, that came up with me from school. But this guy is an accounting genius. He just is, right? The point is this: accounting and math comes so naturally to him. But the reality is, you cannot do accounting if you do not study IFRS. The fact that you understand it easier, that's where the gifting and the talent lies. But the reality is you still need to go and do the work. So that's the one thing. And the other thing that I wanted to just touch on, because we're talking about gifts and talents and people sort of taking, a view about themselves and introspection. I think it's also important to understand that you might be gifted in something that you are not even aware of, right? And if you look, let me just rephrase that you are not even aware of the fact that it is a gift. And I'll explain it like this. If you look at the marketplace, right, you can be gifted at management, managing people, managing manufacturing processes, or just processes in general, right? Management, that is a gifting, right? And ultimately, you can make a lot of money if you're good at that. Then you get people that are super good at productization. They just have to have a gifting to be innovative, and creative to actually build a product. Then obviously you've got people that are super great at vision, i.e. yourself, right? Then you've got people that are super good at speaking, getting into a room and just getting everybody lifted up. And ultimately, let me just say that about that gifting. In my article years, I also had a mate, still have a mate, right? He's doing well, and he, brilliant chartered accountant, and super extrovert, right? And what he could do is he would walk into the boardroom and he would just start singing. You know exactly who this is. I'm not going to mention his name. He's going to watch this and he's going to know who it is. But he would start singing a tune. Crazy. He can sing a bit as well. But the point is, and he would just lift everybody's spirits and motivate the entire team, being silly about it, then start speaking to everybody. And in an instance, he gets the entire team to 10x their effort, right? Just because of the state internally. And that in itself becomes powerful because now, I'll use that as an example further. Now the organization wants that individual. They want to keep him. They want to pay more. Why? Because he's, a stirrer. That's actually a very modern word for it. But here's the point. Take the time to really do the introspection and figure out what your gifts and your talents are that you can multiply into the marketplace, right? And don't stop until you find them, right? That's is the thing, key. Because people quit.
And the thing is with sorry Stefan to interrupt you there, and I think we can wrap this up. I think this is exactly what we wanted to get to in this, episode 6. But the thing is, the one lady asked me, how long is this going to take me? The issue is, every single one's journey is not the same. People get discouraged because they look at other people's journeys.
Agreed, and they compare.
That's the problem. So they compare. That's why chasing money, it discourages people. If they look on Instagram, if they look on all these social platforms, and all of these people driving Lambos and all these nonsense, and we know about 8 people that failed, that they took all of their stuff, that people that don't see the journey where all these, and not to say everybody are fake, but everybody are chasing this. That's why you cannot compare yourself towards anybody else. You can only stay in your lane, and you can focus on what you are good at, and what you just said now. Take the time to learn what you are good at, what's your talents, get to that. Because if it's in 10 years, great. If it's in 30 years, sorry for that. But I truly believe is that if it's 30 years, if you're truly honest with yourself, you didn't put in the work to get towards that. But still, you can get successful.
And I just want to point on the 30-year thing, right? Because it's tricky because people have got different starting points, right? But one thing about 30 years, 40 years, even longer, right? I would take the risk to say that it's better to take 30 years to figure it out and ultimately be fulfilled and have a great life and finances and money will come, as opposed to living a life where you get to the end of it and you realize I had these gifts and talents, I never deployed them into the marketplace. I might have made money or not, but the reality is I'm unfulfilled. You get what I'm saying?
That's it. You see it a lot if you ask these oaks, when I'm talking about serious money, like 10, 20, 40 US billion up. If you ask them, what is the things that they regret?
Yes.
And it's the journey. It's about the journey. Your success career is about the journey.
Yes.
You will not be fulfilled if you chase money here. You need to get to something else.
Sure.
You need to get to the talents and to that's fulfilling you. And the journey would be way better. You'll have it. Well, not to say it all depends on your how do you manage your family still, because you can obviously overwork yourself and stuff, but the thing is you will be fulfilled.
Agreed.
And if one do understand that, to obviously multiply it towards their people that they, educate and
Yes.
mentor. So,
And an increase in money will be the product.
ultimately,
Ultimately, it just has to be.
it's the
principle.
result of how successful you're implementing your talents in the world.
Yes.
People eat the fruit of your talent,
Yes.
and they'll pay for that.
Yes.
People need to understand that.
Listen, we obviously want to do a shorter episode today,
Yeah.
but the reality is when we get talking about these things, we sort of really get passionate about it, and we are. I mean, we haven't even touched on multiplication, which is something I think we'll do in the next episode.
Yeah.
So we really believe that this is going to be valuable for you guys out there, and thank you for taking the time, to actually spend the time with us. I think if we were to close it down for me, what I would like to say is that it really is our time to step up. This is a serious time and it's a serious matter. People need to live lives with purpose, and all of us need to work together to grow the economy. And not just that, but live a life where at the end of the day you can lie on your deathbed without regret, saying you gave it everything that you got. So I'll end it off with a proverb that me and you really sort of has not only subscribe to but really believe in, and it just says that, do you see a man diligent in his work, he will stand before kings. And the two words that I just want to highlight is diligence and work. You need to be diligent, so gain a proper understanding of what diligence means, and then find your work. And work means your gifts and your talents that you can deploy into the world, and then you remain diligent in that, and money will be the product.
Great. I'm not going to put anything on top of that. So thanks for watching, guys. Keep subscribing. We like you guys if you comment and, interacting with us. So yeah, hit the like button, subscribe. See you on episode 7. Cheers.
Cheers.